morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And I think some people are about to sleep. Thomas, thanks for waking up for us. So I really want to thank Thomas for joining this meeting because it's 11 o'clock in Brazil at the moment, and he's waking up for us. So thank you, Thomas. I'm sure
Yeah.
we are all here to learn from you, and there are so many people joining the group, which is exciting. So this actually we done this kind of webinar previously, and especially when I see some special people passing PGMP, and it's allowing me to present them, bring their learning to other people. So that helps other PGMP aspirant to learn from the parties from my student, in this case Thomas, and also you learn from me and how we can help you. So without further delay, let's get started. And so the agenda for today is, of course, we'll introduce myself and Thomas, and we'll talk about PGMP and the credential process. And Thomas will explain his journey about PGMP, how he started and what he did, and especially what he did and he should avoid it. And we'll talk about a little bit more about how I can help you, then allow you some question answers. Okay, I hope that's enough for today. It's a long 1 hour presentation, and we'll try to cover as much things as we can. Okay, so with anything you do in life, you must have a vision to start with, and in this case, you have to create a vision to pass PGMP. You should know your dates for the exam and likely how you're going to prepare and how it's going to look like when you become PGMP. So whenever I start go for my boot camp, I try to create a vision for them. I try to create a date for them, and that helps them to start work towards those dates. So I will suggest first thing first, you should create a vision for yourself, and you should have a positive mindset. That will take you long way, not only to prepare but also for passing the exam. Okay, motivation and determination is the biggest thing, which I believe everybody can connect, because this is one of the exam where you really need to push yourself. It is hard exam, which you probably know, but the way you prepare, the way you read the things, the way you do the exam can make the difference, which Thomas will help you a little later, how he was able to complete his 4 hour exam in just 2.5 hours. We need to have environment around us, family and friends and colleagues, which we already have, but we need to engage them just like we do any program or project management. We have stakeholders, we need to engage, create a vision, and make sure you share with them so that you get their support as you go. All right. And supporting structure, you have the books. You definitely need to have SPM V3. Remember, if you are doing exam before the changeover of the book, which will happen somewhere, the book will come sometime this things August, sorry, September, October. The firm date is not available, but whenever that book come, 6 months after that, the exam will change. So, and if you're doing exam, let's say before February or March next year, then you need SPM V3, the Standard for Program Management, third edition, and fifth edition of PMBOK. While PMBOK will change earlier than SPM, you still need a PMBOK fifth edition and examination content outline. This is the most important document you have to read. This is free download. Others you can buy or download if you're a member of PMI. And you need some other books, which we can provide you some other books. And as part of bootcamp or any mentoring program, you receive all the full package as my books, question bank, and Pathfinder. The way you can attend the program, you have boot camps, which we have a list I will share with you later, and you can join our mentoring program. There's an individual mentoring program or group mentoring program. Group mentoring program already started, but only one session happened. The second session will start on 22nd. So we have full recording of those sessions. And the first session, which are introductory, which I already have recording, which you can listen if you want. So just to give you intro about the education requirement, I'm sure you have seen, if you're already in PgMP mode, you've gone through some of these PgMP handbook. This is where you will find the requirement for PgMP. If you are a bachelor's degree holder, then you have to demonstrate 4 years of project management and 4 years of program management experience. And also, while you're saying 4 years, you have to show 6,000 hours within 4 years for project management and program management. And experience has to be non-overlapping. That means while you're doing multiple projects or multi-program at the same time, but when you're writing an application, you have to pick one project or one program, and start and end date has to be in different month, is a new month. So let's say you finish one project in January 2014, the next project or program will start in February 2014. And to demonstrate this is a program, you have to have at least 2 projects and at least one person reporting to you as a project manager the project manager. And your experience can go back for last 15 years, the last 15 consecutive years. While you can start your project experience with a program or project, you can mix and match, doesn't matter. But you can go back 15 years from here. Fee structure, just to give an idea, as a member you will pay $800, and if you are paying in euro, it's 655 euro, and non-member will pay $1,000. If you have to retake, I think the paper-based exam, the fees has changed, which maybe I'm wrong here. I think they have increased the fees to computer-based and paper-based are now same. But before you pay, make sure you check on handbook. The retake is another thing you have to worry about, because retake will cost you money. It's a good idea to take some guidance from other people before you pay $600 again. All right, so I'm more than happy to help you. And now people like Thomas and other people are also available. They can also guide you if required. Just a note, in case you wanted to withdraw yourself at any stage, as long as you're not schedule your exam within 30 days of the exam, you can cancel your exam PgMP and you can get a refund of $375. All right, so a little bit on the timeline. You will take some time to prepare your application. If you can dedicate some good amount of time, you can get your application done in 1 to 2 weeks, and should not take more than 4 weeks. I do have a application support service which come free with any of my mentoring and bootcamp. But if you are not joining my bootcamp or mentoring program, you can still buy it, and there's a fees for that. And I will give you 100% pass guarantee for that. So another thing is, you will submit your application. Your application will be open for 90 days. If you do not act on your application for 90 days, your application will be closed. And that do mean you can open it. You can open it again, but they will close it for the time being. But that means you can actually start another application if you want. Audit process, actually the PMI has made recent change where they have brought audit forward. If your application has to be picked for audit, it will start the moment you submit your application. That means the 2 or 3 weeks time you have to spend on audit will be which actually saved while PMI is reviewing the application. Your audit is also happening at the same time. Again, this is not for everyone. This is only a random pick application. Nothing has changed there. So application audit is still random, maybe 10 to 20% people. If you do get an audit, don't get worried. you can call me if you are part of my program. Definitely you get my support. Even if you're not in my program, you will still get my support. PGU requirement, which I forgot to mention. Somebody just contacted me through WhatsApp group. PDUs is you're required to collect 60 PDUs, and the good news is whatever PDU collect for PGMP, you will collect the same number of PDUs. You will get whatever you collect for PMP, PGMP, or PFMP. You can apply the same PDUs for all the certificate. And the good news is with PMP and PgMP PFMP, you pay one fees and all the two or three certificate get renewed. So coming back to the application timeline, once your application completes the completer check, you pay the fees, and in that now your after paying the fees, you will enter directly into panel review. Panel review used to take a lot of time, up to 8 weeks. Nowadays, they are completing on an average 2 weeks, but I've seen application getting approved within one day as well. It all depends on their availability, the volunteers' availability, because these are volunteer reviewers, and also quality of the application. So if your application gone through me, I can definitely give you guarantee that your application will pass, and I cannot give you the number of days, but definitely will pass. And then you have 1 year to complete your exam. Maximum you have 3 chances, and with one year window, you should not wait for the last day or last week. You should plan your exam as soon as possible, and you never know, if you have to go back to do it again. At least you have time to work on. So in case, this is again risk mitigation, in case your application you are not able to complete your exam within 1 year, or you missed the 3 years, 3 attempts for any reason, especially emergency, if you have to go through some emergency situation, and because of that you are not able to complete your exam, or you failed the exam, you should contact PMI immediately, or you can call me to find for guidance. But of course, you can call PMI customer care, explain the reason, and provide them required documentation. They can allow extra time. They can even allow you extra attempts, provided you have a valid reason. All right. So after you pass the exam, and then you have to maintain your PGMP, and you have to earn 60 PDUs, and that 60 PDUs you have to earn in 3 years time. Little bit about the exam. You will get 4 hours, that's 240 minutes, and 170 multiple choice questions. On an average, you will see you will get 1.5 minute per question. And while looks, actually this is not, sometimes it's not enough for many people, especially if the scenarios, you're getting a lot of questions with scenarios, and if you have to spend a lot of time on particular question. Thomas was lucky, or I should say, he was prepared, well prepared. He was able to complete his exam in 2.5 hours. So, and I've seen many people who struggle to complete the exam. So it all depends how ready you are, and how much you listen to my advice during the session. Part of 170 questions, you will get 20 pre-test questions, which is, if you're PMP, you already know what does that mean. So these questions are dispersed, spread around 170 questions, and you don't know which 20 question. These questions will not be used for scoring purpose, and it will not impact your exam result. And you will get 15 minutes of tutorial time. Recently, PMI has changed. Now you cannot write anything during 15-minute time. Previously, you were able to write. You can write formulas or process map or whatever, but now you cannot write in any of the PMI exam. You have to wait to start your exam, then you can write. So I will still suggest you spend 1 to 2 minutes to write some of the formulas, especially critical formulas, which you think easy but can be difficult when you are in the exam mode, especially when you are in pressure time. So write some couple of formulas, especially earned value formulas, and number of channels and few others, but don't spend too much time in writing. But Make sure to do tutorial, because that's where you sometimes you learn something new, because every center has some unique features which you will learn from the tutorial. So make sure you do the tutorial as well. Just a distribution of questions, and you can see some areas are really important. So the strategic program management, 25 questions, and program lifecycle, this is where you see 75 questions, and benefits 19, stakeholder management 27 question, and governance 24 question. So at the end of the day, all the areas are important, but the focus has to be on the life cycle where you have 75 questions. And recently PMI has changed. Instead of previously they used to provide result in the form of proficiency, but now you can see a result as target, above target, below target, need improvement. And this is actually a better way of demonstrating the result, because here you can see even which part of, if you are above target, where exactly you are on the where exactly on the sliding scale. So this is not a PgMP exam result. This is actually my recent PG exam I did, and the result you will see the similar form, but in this case, in PgMP case, you will see different domain names. So your result will be as per domain, and once you come home, you can see actually on your pmi.org on your portal, you can see detailed analysis of your task-based result. You can see all the 72 tasks and see if you are doing good or you need improvement. If you pass the exam, you don't have to worry too much, but if for any reason you didn't pass the exam, then it's better to analyze your this result and work on your weak areas. If you need any assistance with that, I can definitely help you with it. Okay, I have more things to talk, but before I continue, I like Thomas to add his what he did and how he did and what make him to pass this exam. Thomas, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to thank Dharam to invite me to this webinar. I need to be honest, it's my first one to present. Usually I'm just participating but not presenting, so it's I'm a little bit nervous, but it's fine. Let's see. Some details about me. My name Thomas, age 37. I'm working as a program manager for an Austrian-based aviation company. And why did I choose to study and to try to pass the exam for PgMP? I was personally interested in developing myself in the position and in my career, and also recommended from my VP from my business unit. And PMI status, I passed the exam in June 2017, so I'm kind of a newbie.
Yeah, so Thomas, I added this slide for you in case to talk about this. Anyway, just trying to show. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, it's basically the roadmap, right? The painful road to glory, as I've named it.
Yeah. So this is trying to show that yes, it's a hard work, but if you prepare, if you see a couple of ants doing the hard work, you can actually do it.
Yes, definitely. And that was very good to participate in the group, because you could see like guys participating, guys passing the exam. So you can get a feeling that it's not impossible to achieve this certification. So it's really motivated me a lot seeing all these guys succeeding. So I wanted to do the same, so it was very good. Yeah, about my presentation. Yeah. The first one was the panel review evaluation number 1. For me, since I never heard about PMI, it was a little bit difficult to find out exactly the PMI language, because when I did the panel review, I had to retype a couple of times, and there were always coming back questions from PMI, because I just wasn't really able to formalize my experience in a way which was kind of acceptable to PMI, and it was struggling a lot. I was struggling a lot doing that, and I was almost giving up because I was like, what the fuck? It changed 2 times, 3 times. They're still doubting, still questioning. So I didn't know what to do anymore. So I did some research in the internet, and then luckily I found Dharam, and I got in touch with him, and he helped me a lot for the panel review. He sent me some documents, some examples, and based on that, I was really able to rewrite my entire panel review application. And when I sent it for Dharam to review, I know that I guess it was just 2 small comments. It was not that much. So, you know, it made a big difference because it was still me preparing the panel review application. Just knowing how to and knowing this PMI language was changing everything in a way that I was succeeding this panel review within a couple of days. So yeah, it was very useful for me.
Next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Examination preparation, evaluation 2. Here also one of my struggles was because when I did my internet research by myself before I found Dharam, I was not sure which books to use. So, you know, I just Googled and searched and looked on Amazon, which books. Then I found SPM2. I found some books from Ginger. I bought all of them, and I started to learn, to study. And then I found out that all these books were kind of outdated. Dharam told me that I need to use SPM3, Pinbook, the 5th generation, all this. Basically, I was just spending a lot of money for nothing because I was focusing on the wrong book. So it's a stupid mistake, but yeah, I made it. Same with phone applications, because Dharam told me that there is this PMI, PMP application, which is very useful, and I downloaded it immediately, and it was really happy to have that, to learn a lot about the Pinbook, because I didn't have any PMP certification. Basically, the PgMP was my first one from PMI, so it was a little bit difficult where to start. And since you need to know a lot about the Pinbook as well, this PMP mentor helped me a lot. Then I was also looking for some PgMP applications, and even I bought a couple of them. They were kind of expensive, like $20, $25. But all of them were kind of not useful because they were outdated as well. So I really can only recommend using books, apps, whatever from trustful sources, because otherwise it's just a waste of money and a waste of time. Another struggle was the language. I mean, my English is, I would say my English is good because I'm living in Brazil for 5 years. I'm an Austrian guy, so my main language is German. English is just a foreign language for me. But the way how the books are written from PMI, I had to focus a lot to understand really the meaning. So good English skills is really mandatory to understand the question and to be able to give a right feedback to the question. Yeah, the solution I mentioned already. Thanks God, I hired Dharam for my mentoring program, and he provided me with all the books, with all the right sources, with all the correct applications. Then I was also struggling with all the artifacts, because to be honest with you guys, my company is not really working according to PMI standards. So I guess I'm the first one inside my company achieving a PgMP certification. So it's my responsibility now also to introduce all these artifacts and templates, hopefully, to my company. And for me, reading all these artifacts in SPM Pinbook, it was good, but for me it was not enough. So I was really looking for something like a good explanation for templates. How does it look like? What is the content? And then Dharam, he recommended the book Implementing Program Management from Ginger, and it helped me a lot as well. So I really spent a lot of time reading this book, and I understood how these artifacts look like, because it's always easier for me, at least, to understand what the artifact should be if you know the content. You know, it's helped me a lot.
Okay.
The next one, active participation, I mentioned already, in dedicated social media groups, WhatsApp, on LinkedIn. Active is really posting questions, searching for answers, and not just guessing the answer. Even if you have a guess, use the books, try to find a reason. It helps a lot in studying, really moving on your knowledge. And last but not least, as I mentioned, that's Daram's book was helping a lot, the mentoring program, and also the question bank, because on all these exam preparations from Ginger, from Sean, from Daram, I would say Daram's question bank is the closest one to the real examination from PMI. So it was really a good train for me.
Thanks, Tom.
And just to add this comment, he didn't pay anything for me to participate today, guys. You know, I really do it free of charge. Not so far. Let's see.
Yeah.
Good. The next slide, some lessons learned. For me, it was also interesting, and I did some research on output versus outcome versus impact to understand what's the difference between those descriptions about these words, because all of them are used in the SPM, but you really should understand what each one means and what's the difference between those. The same between objectives and goals, also between metrics, measures, thresholds, and KPIs. We had a lot of nice discussions in WhatsApp group about this one. Femi, he's online, he texted me. Maybe he remembers. Also about the overlapping phases, it's very important to understand that the phases are not sequential, it's like they are more overlapping. For the artifacts, it's important to know that some of the artifacts start already in a subphase sooner, but they are released in a subphase following. So you should really understand when they are prepared and when they are released, and from which who are releasing these documents. It's also very important. Ginger's exams, there is a lot of discussions about Ginger's exam, a lot of pro and cons. Some guys love it, some guys hate it. My feedback for Ginger exam would be they helped me a lot, and I did 3-4 of them. They helped me because of the time. They helped me to learn, to study. I know that sometimes they're very, very difficult, and even all 4 answers given by Ginger could be the right answer, but it helps you really to understand a little bit more about the PMI language, and really to study the book and to think about the question, to understand. And sometimes, and I had some questions like this also in the exam. It was like a very lengthy question and a lot of text, and then the final question had nothing to do with the rest of the intro of the question. So Ginger exam is way more difficult than the real exam, but for me, it's better this way, because imagine if it's the other way around, if the preparation is kind of easy and the real exam is very difficult, then you're kind of frustrated. So in this case, I wasn't frustrated, and maybe this was one of the reasons I made it in 2.5 hours, because I trained a lot with Ginger, and I trained really with booking 4 hours, and Ginger's exam I did between 3 and 3.5 hours. So if you can do the difficult ones within 3 or 3.5 hours, then if it's a little bit easier, then you can even finish it sooner. Memorize major artifacts and their content, very important. The next one, very important, it's not just memorizing the SPM and the ECO, it's really to understand. Memorizing won't help, because a lot of questions, as Dara mentioned already previously, they are situation-based, and if you just memorize the SPM and the ECO, it won't help, because you cannot really find the answer. Memorizing is good for artifacts, but not for the SPM and the ECO to understand. What also helped me a lot was I prepared a kind of Excel matrix trying to link the ECO, SPM, life cycles. I wrote down the contents of the artifacts. So I made a kind of a master plan combining all these PMI comments into one Excel spreadsheet. It took me a lot of time, But it was also kind of a learning, because if I type it by myself, if I write it by myself, it's also easier for me to memorize and to understand. And last but not least, during the exam, it's very important to find out which life cycle phase or sub-phase you are currently in. This helps you a lot on giving the proper feedback and the proper answer.
Good. Yeah.
Can do next slide. Okay,
Yeah.
good. There are some miscellaneous topics, especially for the examination day. Sleep well and enough. For me, I had to go to Sao Paulo because I'm like 2 hours away from Sao Paulo, from the closest certified PMI center. And traffic, it was too much risk. So I even booked a hotel room. I went there the night before. I was relaxing in the hotel, had a good meal, was sleeping very well. I choose the morning session because my mind is working better in the morning than if you're doing the afternoon session, because you're getting tired, I guess, very easily. So you need to remember, you need to take 4 hours or plan 4 hours. So a fresh mind is very useful as well. What I did when I finished my first answers after 2.5 hours, as Dara mentioned, I took a break. I left the room. I really took 15 to 20 minutes break, drinks some water, relax, getting a fresh mind, fresh air, really take myself to take some time for myself to come down and to focus and to restart all over again. Then I entered again and I reviewed the marked ones, and it was quite good, because some of the answers I chose, I cheated because I had a fresh mind. Lengthy questions, I got 3 of them. As mentioned previously, some of them, the entire content was not really related to the question itself. So yeah, it's a lot of time to read it, but I had to do. There was one question related to PMI code of ethics. It's also important to take a look at the code of ethics. It's kind of easy question, so at least if you check the code of ethics once or twice, I guess you are able to give answers to questions related to that, and it's easy points. I got one question related to communication channels calculation. The formula is mentioned here. It's also kind of easy points. 3 questions related to EVM. So I guess it's also quite easy if you know the PIN book, or if you know these formulas. Some questions related to ECO, and I mean, yeah, it's a struggle because everybody knows that the ECO and the standard are not really linked very well, I would say. I was struggling a lot with that. That's why I made this matrix. Most questions, as mentioned, are situation-based, based on real examples. So even the experience as you work as a program manager or project manager, I guess, is helping you a lot to give a proper feedback. And as mentioned, I got some tricky change style questions as well, so be prepared. And for the time, also as discussed, for me it was quite easy. I finished after 2.5 hours, 20 minutes break, another 20 minutes to review, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's really great presentation from your side, and thanks for sharing your, especially how you got into and what you learned and type of question you had received. So what you mentioned here, some of the questions are actually repeat question, especially the channel number of channels. So almost everyone is telling me they had this question. EVM's questions are very popular. Some of the easy EVM questions are easy if you know what is those 4 formulas and few other bits and pieces. So many of these exam live questions are in my exam question, which I'm sure you learned something from that. But yeah, as I'm talking to people, I'm realizing and adding more and more questions to my question bank, and hopefully it will help other people as well. So thank you, Thomas, for your insight. It was really, I think, is useful for everybody here. And we can stay here for another 15 minutes. And I know it's a late night, but I'm sure you still want to continue with us.
Definitely.
Yeah. So just to add little more on what Thomas has said, and this is coming from my first session when I'm talking, and some of the study tips I have provided or provide, the document in my part of my program, you will get complete reference guide for PgMP certification. This is I call CRG, and I recommend you to go through this at least 5 to 6 times, and SPM and a combination of these two 5 to 6 times. So once you've gone through ECO and PMBOK and the Code of Ethics, do the questions, try and mock exams. So I'm not going to ask a lot of questions, especially don't do from, there are a lot of free questions available from online. These are questions are not good, but try the questions which Thomas mentioned. My questions are good. Ginger's questions are good, and Jean's questions are also good. Identify your weak areas and work on that again until you start getting the 60 at least 60% in Ginger's exam, 70 to 75% in my and Jean's exam. So once you are getting those scores, you are pretty much ready to take the exam. But whenever you do the exam, the mock exam, make sure you do in exam like environment where you block 4 hours and you do the all 170 question in one sitting, and then check your answers. And also in Ginger's exam, check the explanation as well, and she will take you to the SPM or ECO. Especially, our questions are taking you to the minute details. Especially when in first reading, couple of reading, you don't read them, but when you see the question, she's taking you to the word between the words. Uh, so while, as Thomas mentioned, the questions are hard, that's why my expectation 60 to 65% in our exam. Anyway, so you continue reading SPM and CRG, that's my book, and PEMBOK until you start feeling comfortable. I will also tell you the test format. While it's a common, you are going to see 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 questions with long scenario question, up to 20 to 25 or 30 lines even. So idea of reading these is to scan through. If you're trying to make sense out of these, you're going to lose your time. But scan through the scenario, scan through the questions, and look at the question there. With these lengthy scenario question, you always see 4 or 5 questions, and go look at the questions, especially the last 2 lines where you will see the question, and look at the question answers. Many times you don't have to go back to scenario because you already know the answer. But if you do have to go back to scenario, you know the keyword. You will also see some 20 to 30 very lengthy question. It's a 5 to 10 line questions. Again, idea is to scan through and look at the last couple of lines. You will also see a lot of sequence-based questions. What is the first thing you do? What the next thing you will do? What the last thing you do? So it is in your best interest to have good sequencing. You know what comes first in terms of phases. Which phase come first, second, third? Documentation and process. Yeah, there are many things to learn, and so this is where I will help you with forming the sequencing. And while we're talking lengthy question, lengthy scenario, you will also see some one-liner questions as well. So if you're sitting in exam, you're struggling with the time, don't give up, never give up, because you never know the rest of the question are going to be easy and one-liners. Okay, hope this will help you. And also PEMBOK, when you're reading PEMBOK, make sure you go through earned value, which Thomas mentioned, especially the formulas. There we have CPI, SPI, CV, SV. These are almost certain that you're going to get 2 to 3 questions, maybe up to 5 questions. And these questions can be very easy. Critical path, again, it's not a very popular area, but I think around 20 to 30 people mentioned they have received question on calculating critical path, forward path, backward path, especially the float, and how to use, yeah, especially that some of the technique where you can smooth the schedule using crashing or fast tracking or whatever. So look at the time management from PMBOK. Also look at the HR theories from human resource management from PMBOK, especially the master theory, theory X, theory Y, theory Z. There are a few other theories. Make sure you go through them. Things like Delphi technique, Ishikawa diagram, and Six Sigma, Monte Carlo, to name few. Wherever you see a name or a technique which is unique, make sure you go through it, understand it. Okay. Um, So test taking suggestion, use your time wisely. Of course, you have to check your time. You're following your schedule, which whatever you come with, but never give up. You never know. As I said, the next half exam may be easier exam, so you continue with that. You read the question carefully, especially the last line, and if you especially look at which phase we are in, which what's the role they're asking for, which whether they're asking for process, and all these things, and that will help you to analyze the answer. When you're picking the answer, make sure look for the process. What PMI suggests is don't jump to the conclusion that this is what I do in my real life. That may not be the best way. That may be okay in your organization, but that may not be the best way as per PMI. So answer which is coming from SPM or PMBOK or ECO, they are the right answer, especially the process and the documents you have to follow. Okay, and also read all the answers, even though you feel that first answer is correct, maybe the second or third or fourth answer may be better answer. So please go through all of them. And once you've done that, confirm your answer and move on. Do not spend too much time on particular question. Last thing you want is spend 10 minutes on a question and realize that you have to rush for the later question. If you do find yourself in such a situation where your question taking a lot of time, make sure you answer it, mark it, and move on. Remember, there is no negative marking. So if you do not have enough time, you can still guess. And when you're guessing, make sure you try to use some educational guess, not just guess. Okay, so even if you marked, yeah, you don't have to unmark them. Some people do that mistake as well. And yeah, so that hopefully this will help you. And next, some test taking tips. Remember, PMI is not mandating anything. They are providing a framework. So whenever you see something which is kind of mandating or making like things like accept, always, each, every, none, never, must, these kind of words, whenever we see in the option, just eliminate them. Because as I said, PMI is not mandating anything. Be little careful with these words. Okay, and if you are not sure, make a guess, and never leave a question unattempted. Okay, sometimes a grammatical clue can also help you. I'm not, if your question is ending with A or N, accordingly your answer will change. Whether it's vowel starting with vowel or not. A vowel being A, E, I. You know what I'm talking about. So when you're answering, use your experience, but the answers will be coming from based on standard or which is SPM and PMBOK. Memorize some of the formulas from PMBOK, especially earned value and the channels. In a mock exam, while I'm saying 90% in practice exam, but as I said earlier, based on the type of author, Ginger's exam you can target about 60, and mine and Gene you can target around 70 to 75%. How we can help you? There are a few things. We have a mentoring program. You can do the one-to-one program, which Thomas has participated, and I think he has benefited a lot. And recently I've started a group mentoring program. There's one session happened that was just introductory, and the second session starting this Saturday. So if you do want to join that one, you will not miss anything. Because I also have a recording for that. You can join that one. And Pathfinder, I have created a document which is a mapping of examination content outline and the ECO, and that's ECO and the standard. And I've presented those tasks, if you know the task, in a more readable form. And but when you go through this task in this format, your learning will be much faster. Okay. And when you buy any of the service or any product, I'm not selling this one. I'm giving that as part of the other services. Even if you buy my question bank and or complete reference guide, anything you buy, you will get that as part of the free. But you have to request for that. My upcoming programs, especially the Sydney, this is in August 18 to 20th, Melbourne 21st to 23rd of August, Kuala Lumpur, there's another plan, 25th to 27th. I'm also coming to US. If you are based in US or Canada or Mexico, so there are a few dates as well. So up until 25th of July, I'm also offering special discount for my students joining in US and Mexico program. So you can send an email to find out that special discount. It may be hard, but it's not impossible. So it's really worth it. Once after you achieve this particular certificate, you ask any PGMP, they will tell you the same thing. It's really worth it. So go for it, but make sure you have some required support which can take you through the journey easily and make your journey smooth. I do have some description about my documents, other thing. I'm not going to go through them. Just I will share these slides with you. If you want, you can go through them. So that's about Pathfinder, the question bank I have, which is 175 questions, and these are big questions are based on experience, my experience, and other people's experience. That's why people find them closer to the exam. Um, my complete reference guide, this is what I'm using for my presentations during boot camp or mentor program. But if you really just want to buy the book, you can buy the book only. So that's also available for buying. And the fast track mentoring program is very, very popular, especially if you want to do an exam within 2 to 3 months. This will definitely help you. And there are two ways you can join: group mentoring program or individual program. So there's fees mentioned here. So if you are ready, you are interested, you can join. So this is it from us, and you can ask questions, and you can put your hand up, and you can ask question. Um, do we have a question here?
I saw one question in the group, and the question was if you can have the PMP and the PGMP at the same time, if you can hold both certificates. As far as I know, it's possible. You don't lose the other one, right?
That's correct. That's correct. Rather, they're complementing each other, especially when you're earning PDUs. The PDUs are applied for PMP, PGMP, and PFMP together, and you pay one fees, and you can get renewal of PMP, PGMP, and PFMP, which I think that's a good thing. And any other question we have? Yeah. Any question? Thomas, do you have anything last few words for people?
Just another question. How many PGMP by Dharam? How many PGMPs did you produce?
As of yesterday, I think day before yesterday, I got 106 PGMPs, including you.
Congratulations.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, I mean, I feel excited whenever somebody gets PGMP, and I feel it's your achievement, of course, but I do take some credit and give pat on my back as well. Because this is a journey which worth going, and I have done this journey for with many people, and I understand what exactly is required to pass this exam. So I'm getting better and better every time I go and teach. I learn something from and my teaching is improving. So please feel free to ask me, call me, and even if you're not joining my program, you can still ask me questions. And if you're not on WhatsApp group, we have 244 people at the moment, and really good discussions are happening. So please send me your phone number, and I will add you to the group. So we have only 12 more people we can add because the group is already full, but you have to act fast. So any other questions? Can you see any questions?
I didn't see any other questions. So, and last words from me. So yeah, thanks again, Adam. It was really a great help, and especially as I mentioned, it was my first PMI certificate. So I didn't speak the language at all. So it was really great to have some assistance on how to achieve, how to do, how to perform. So it was, I enjoyed a lot and I learned a lot, to be honest. And I gonna miss our webinars and meetings and discussions. So definitely.
No, that's fine. We can always have a go to meeting just to have a quick chat. How you going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can see a question here. Is the examination fee cover 3 attempts? That's correct. No, sorry, that's not right. Actually, the first fee is $800 covers one exam, and every time you do repeat the exam, you have to pay $600. So do whatever you have to do to make yourself pass exam in first attempt. Hope I that's clear to you, Ramesh. And will you send the presentation after the call? Yes, Francisco, I will send the presentation to everyone whoever joined the meeting or not able to join. And also this webinar will be available. I'll share the webinar with you, so you can share with your friends if you want. But yeah, the available. I'm just checking, going through the list if there are any other questions there. Okay, I think that's it. So there's no further questions. All good. So thank you, all of you, for joining, and special thanks for Thomas. It's a midnight for you, and I really want to wish you a good luck for your transition to Austria back, and few other milestone in your life coming up. So enjoy this exciting time. That's what I can tell you. Exciting time for you. So have fun and enjoy.
Thank you a lot.
And everybody else, wish you good luck, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Good night. Ciao.
Bye.